I think it's clear to probably most of your listeners that the things called news are mostly propaganda, narrative warfare for some agency, and that they aren't good sources of sense-making. We would hope, though, that there are some sources of high signal, low noise, true information, like maybe scientific journals, like academia, science itself. I hoped this a long time ago, and I had the continuous kind of disappointment. I started being like, okay, I can't trust news to be true, because news is narrative warfare. I can't trust science without actually really looking at what was the methodology employed, how was it funded, what were the axioms that the team was using, what were the logical transforms, am I seeing all of their data or the cherry-picked data? And as I started to kind of unfold to say, where are the high signal, low noise sources that I can offload some of the cognitive complexity of making sense of the world to? The answer is really sad, right? I don't know any sources that are very high signal and low noise across lots of areas. So then we start being like, well, why is that? And what would it take to fix that? What would it take to make a world that had an intact information ecology? Well, that requires understanding why the current information ecology is as broken as it is. And we're starting to touch on a couple things here, but this goes deep. And how do we make good choices if we don't have good sense-making? Well, obviously we can't. But due to increasing technological capacity, right? Increasing population multiplied by increasing impact per person, we're making more and more consequential choices with worse and worse sense-making to inform those choices, which is kind of running increasingly fast through the woods, increasingly blind, right? And so I think many of the people that you've had on Rebel Wisdom have been in a deep inquiry around how do we actually fix our own sense-making. And it's some of what has brought us to have conversations with each other, because a part of how we work with our own sense-making is we recognize the cognitive complexity of issues that the world faces is more than a single person can process, a single brain that can't actually hold that cognitive complexity. So it requires collective intelligence and collective sense-making. But I can't just offload the cognitive complexity to some authority, because I can't trust that they're actually doing good sense-making. Maybe they're doing good sense-making within a very limited context, but then the application of that outside of the context is different, and maybe there's even distortions within their context. So I have to try and find other people that are also really endeavoring to sense-make well, which means they have to understand what causes failures in sense-making. And then we have to see, can we create relationships with each other that remove the distortion basis that is normally there? So I think from what I have seen of Rebel Wisdom, this is probably the strange attractor of what is bringing everybody to watch it, is people who are trying to make sense of the world better themselves and are trying to find sources of content of other people that have been trying to make sense of it well.